Alrighty, it is that time again. This is your lunchtime live, and the show today's show is Culture and Conversation. And we have a very interesting topic for you today. The topic overall is how much control should technology have over our lives? I'll give you more insight as to what brought on this topic, but that is today's topic. And so before we jump into it, please be sure to connect with me across social media platforms if you have not done so already. You can find and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok at my name is Tennille, and you can use that same handle to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That is my name is Toneal. And so today, again, this is Culture and Conversation. This is a show where we talk about all things that matter. So whether we're talking about awareness, this is June, and so that is Men's Health Awareness Month. Whether we're talking about social issues, pop culture topics and trends, or even relationship conversation, we like to really delve into the things that affect us and our culture. And so today's topic, again, how much control should technology have over our lives? And so for me, I found this to be a combination of both a social and a cultural or pop culture topic. And I wanted to bring it up. I was looking for the video that I saw, but a video was shared with me, and I actually looked it up because I don't like to just like present something that we just see on social media, because we know that there is a such thing as fake news. We know that people provide and present topics that's just for the sake of being clickbait all the time. But I had actually looked this up to kind of validate it. Okay, so let's talk about it, what I'm talking about, so you guys will know, and then we'll go a little bit more into it. Right now I'm actually um I'm pulling this up real quick, so let's see. Okay, so this is as a according to Kelly Blue Book. Okay, and I think most of us are familiar with Kelly Blue Book. I saw a video. Let me back up. I saw a video where a man was saying that as of 2027, any new car is supposed to pretty much be built in with features or equipment. So it should be equipped with the ability to shut you down if it detects that you are either drunk or under the influence. Okay. So let me say this again. If you are driving, and the way that the newer model cars are supposed to be designed is if they believe the car, if the car believes you to be impaired or under the influence, that it can shut down automatically. So it will stop operating if it believes that you are under the influence. And so I want to read this really quickly. This came from let's see, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, okay, or NHTSA. And this article that I'm reading it happened on April 30th. So this was just barely this hasn't even been 2 months ago. Okay, so this is very recent. It says back in January, there was they detailed the Halt Drunk Driving Act, which was passed in 2021 as part of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. The law is back in the headlines this week as it's now expected to go into effect late this year, 2026, or early in 2027. There has been quite a bit of chatter online about what the legislation will require of automakers, so it's a good time for a quick refresher. So basically, what this is supposed to do, it says the NHTSA, which again is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, was tasked with creating a new federal motor vehicle safety standard that requires passenger motor vehicles manufactured after the effective date of that standard to be equipped with advanced drunk and impaired driving prevention technology. Known colloquially as a kill switch, this technology will likely function as is described in the law. We're talking about in cabin camera systems and monitoring features that work to detect drowsy, drunk, or otherwise impaired drivers. Blood alcohol content detection is also part of the package, but the law requires that the monitoring systems be passive, unlike some of the relatively old school hardware today, which requires drivers to blow into a tube to ensure a blood alcohol content of 0.08% or less. And so the article goes on to say that they're not sure how the automakers will be able to do something like that. But as for the other part of being drunk, impaired, or even drowsy, that they're supposed to be a kill switch to basically stop the car from operating if it is detected. And so here is the question. Whereas I understand what the concept and what the purpose of this act is and why they're trying to execute it in this manner. The question is, how much control should technology have over our lives? Should your car be able to shut you down? Okay, so for the duration of this podcast, I am going to kind of pose my own pros and cons to both to this topic. Okay, if you come in and you watch this live, or even if you watch it on the replay, you can feel free to comment as well. But this is just where we are right now. We are in a place and space of time where there have been so many, hit and runs, so many accidents, so many, I'm sure people have been unalived as a result of drunk drivers. And so I get it. I understand. And again, it's not just if you are drunk, right? So I think that this would be, for me, this would be an entirely different conversation if we were just talking about drunk drivers, because I 1000% feel that if somebody is drunk or impaired, that they should not be behind the wheel. The only concern that I have, and again, the article that I was reading from come from is an article within Kelly Blue Book, and we know that that's the company that typically, if you're trying to look for the value of your car, that's what people mostly know Kelly Blue Book as. So this is a credible source. And this article is from April 30th, 2026. And this is about the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So again, all of these are genuine entities. All of these are credible sources. And so I am not one who likes to pass on gossip or clickbait items. So I do try to do my due diligence to research to make sure that the stories or that I may talk about, that they are not fabricated, but these are actual issues that we're dealing with. And so getting back, Whereas I do holistically agree that if someone is drunk or impaired, that they should not be behind the wheel, because we definitely want to try to save lives, not just those that they may hit, but even their own. Saving lives is of the utmost importance. There is no argument whatsoever there. However, I want to start off on the side of argument. And again, not arguing for the sake of negativity, but just saying each side having its own point. So, in making an argument for why this might be a bad thing, it said that it detects not just if you're drunk, not just if you're impaired, if you are also drowsy, and basically if you're just not looking straight ahead for whatever the reason. And here's the thing, I know people who, when they drive, they're not constantly looking straight ahead. And let me totally divulge, I drive a 2025 vehicle. And so within my vehicle right now, if I am driving and if I turn my head or if I look down, it will say, do you need to take a break? It'll definitively ask me that. It'll say, coffee break needed or whatever. But even that, to me, that is a totally different leap from shutting down your car, right? So, again, let's say if I'm driving, and I'm not saying whether or not this is right, but say if I'm driving and if my phone rings and I look down to press answer, or let's say if something happens, because there's always some things that happen, and we understand legally your eyes are supposed to always be on the road. But if you've been driving anytime, you also know that there are things that naturally comes up where your eyes are not just always straight ahead. And again, I'm not making excuses for it, I'm simply stating facts. And so the point to that is to say that if it becomes problematic to the point where the car, because I would want to know what qualifies as drowsy. How many seconds are you permitted to look away before your car is shut down? How long would the car be shut down before it is able to be operable again? These would be things that I would want to know, because at a point, I just think like that's just a little bit team too much. You know what I mean? Like, and again, I can see arguments on both sides. So I'm just starting with the argument that is against doing this. So if I get in my car and if the car says or detects, because I'm not looking straight ahead for however long it feels that I'm supposed to, and then the car says, okay, well, we believe that you are impaired. So the car has the power to stop operating. What happens if the car was wrong? Let's go back to my car example that I just gave with the 2025. The same way that that car is able to detect if I'm not looking straight ahead, that car also is able to detect if it does not. So say if there is traffic, another car that's coming, it will automatically stop me. So it'll all automatically, the brakes automatically get pushed, right? And I have had situations where that happening was the thing that actually almost caused the accident, because I'm driving, I see the car coming. I was about to stop, but because it broke me before I could break me, then that almost caused an accident. You see what I'm saying? And so, whereas I can appreciate, and for the record, I am not one that has accidents. Okay. So I want to put that out there so you can be like, so you can understand who this is that's talking to you. Do I get tickets? Yes. Have I had speeding tickets? Yes. Do I get in accidents? No. I think in all of my driving years, and I've been driving for about 30 years, I think I might have had two or three accidents, maybe. And these were, where I ran into a car, maybe, or I'm trying to see if that's what happened. Because I know two of the times somebody hit me. And so one of the times I might have, like, I came out and the car was coming and I didn't see that car. So I just, again, I'm not saying that I'm right. I just want to give you all the perspective, or where you understand who I am and giving you the perspective that I'm giving you, right? So I don't want for you to feel like this is somebody who, I'm not someone who's always under the influence. I've never been under the influence, so I don't even want to say it like that. I'm not one who drinks and drives. I'm not one who, if I'm tired, then I know not to get behind the wheel. So, AKA, I'm a responsible driver. Like, literally, I'm on their safety driver list so that I don't even, like, I can just have my license auto renewed. All right. So, just want to give that context. But all of that said to say that it becomes a point where it's like, how much power should AI, artificial intelligence, technology, whatever you want to call it, how much power should it have? Is there a reason for the need? Absolutely. I totally get it. Like, if we were to look up, somebody would want to have the statistics and how many deaths have there been as a result of, impaired driving. For me, I don't even need all those statistics. One person who has lost their life is one too many. Okay. So there is no argument from me as far as, um, is it necessary to try to do what we can to save lives? Should we try to save lives? Absolutely. But this is kind of one of those issues, like, you know how they wrap up pro life with being in favor of abortion. You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like two things can be true at the same time. Just because I may believe in life, that does not mean that I believe that a woman should not have control over her body. Those are not one and the same. And they always try to, I feel like that issues are purposely presented in a way to cause you to have to say, okay, well, I'm all in favor of everything. And sometimes I might like this part, but I don't like this part. So whereas I personally don't believe in abortion, I also don't believe that somebody else should have the right to tell a woman what to do with her body. Same thing here. I personally feel like we should do whatever is necessary to preserve life. However, if you give AI the power to do this, if you, submit to technology in this regard, what's next? You see what I'm saying? That is my concern. Is this becomes yet another precedent? We are already losing jobs to technology. If you go into your grocery stores that used to have lines where there were people serving as the cashiers. Now everything is self-serve. You go into restaurants where there were people checking you out and taking your order. Now there are kiosks there where you place your own order. When you call customer service, where there were people on the other end. Like, it is a whole headache just to try to get an actual human being on the phone. You have to be on the phone for probably, 35 minutes just pushing A for this, two for this. or one for this, three for this, five for that, and heaven forbid you didn't hear the menu or you pushed the wrong one. Like, it used to be a time where I could call a company, and even if I didn't get the person right off back that I wanted, I got a person. I got a human being, and I was able to talk to them, and they could assist me either directly or at least enough to know who I did need to speak with. So, my point is, we're already living in a world where you're seeing less and less human interaction. You're seeing more and more of technology controlling what it is that we do. So, they already have self-driving cars. That's a whole thing already. So now it's not even enough where the cars are able to drive themselves, but now the technology gets to decipher whether or not I can drive based upon their determination of what impaired is. Because what happens if I'm not impaired? What happens if I'm not drunk? I'm not under influence of anything, but I just happen to look away. Me looking away did not cause an accident. Let's say that there is nothing that I hit. Because keep in mind, this act that they're talking about, this act does not say that you have to have had an accident or that there has to be a car in front of you. You could be on an open road, and again, go ahead and read it. You can just be out driving, and if it detects that you are impaired to what it considers impaired to be, then it will shut your car down. And for me, that is what becomes problematic, or at least potentially problematic. Some might say, well, you can sacrifice the few for the many. So what if a couple people may be inconvenienced if holistically it will save the lives of many? And again, it's not that I don't get that argument. It's not that being on the other side, that might not be an argument that I would make myself. But I would definitely say that this concept definitely gives me pause. And I'm a person who in 2023, I had a 2023 car. Um, in 2025, I had a 2025. Let me see, what car did I have? In 20, in 2020, no, I didn't have a 2020. So in 2020, I think I had a 2018. So 2020, I had 2018. 2023, I had 2023. 2025, I had 2025. So my point is that the reason why this article bothers me is the fact that, yes, for the greater good of society holistically, yes, I'm concerned about us, but personally for me, like being a person who gets new cars relatively, often, it wouldn't be far-fetched for me to get a vehicle in 2027, 28, 29, something like that. And so you mean to tell me that if you get a new car, so you don't have an option, this isn't just on a particular model. This is what they are endeavoring to do for every new car, regardless of the brand. It is supposed to come equipped with this technology. Okay. Now, again, they're saying they're not sure about how they might be able to put through the blood alcohol test, where how like you breathe in. For those who ever had to do that type of test, they're saying that it may not have that capability, but it is going to be able, just based off of, I guess, your focus, your attention span, it will be able to detect whether or not it considers you to be impaired. And again, I'm telling you, being an owner of a 2025, that type of technology exists, in that if I'm driving and if I'm not looking straight ahead, next thing I know, my car will be, the dashboard, it'll say coffee break, need a coffee break, take a coffee break. That's one thing versus literally when you get to the place of you saying you need to take a coffee break, you shut down my car. Because what if nothing is wrong with me? What if I actually just happen to look down and I shouldn't have looked down? You know what I mean? And how long is my car set to be off? What if I'm on the way to an important appointment? You know what I mean? For people who work traditional jobs, what if they're on their way to work and nothing was wrong? So these are the concerns that I have. And then, at large, I don't know, what does that do for our justice system? Is that taking away jobs? It's a lot of unknown questions, and obviously, I will now, because this is on my radar. So obviously, I will definitively be paying attention to what ends up happening with this, because this was actually supposed to have happened. I think it said a year or so ago, but it missed the deadline. So they're still wanting to go through with this. This act has already been passed. This is supposed to happen. Um, and so again, we understand that drunk driving is serious business. So please understand, I am not trying to make excuses for it. I am not on the side of driving drunk or impaired at all. I'm just trying to see if there is some middle ground, if there is something beside totally shutting down a person's vehicle simply based upon the assumptions of AI, because it's equipment that's man made. How many times have you had a device of whatever kind shut down for no reason? It freezes for no reason. Like, things go wrong with systems. Why? Because they're man made. So what if it's, oh, oops, my bad, I didn't mean to actually shut you down, I was just experiencing a glitch. So these are the issues that I have, not with the concept of preserving life. Absolutely preserve life at all costs. Um, but then it's like, but how much we paying though? You know what I mean? Like, can we put a price on any person's life? Absolutely not. Am I trying to justify anybody driving under the influence? Absolutely not. Do I feel like keys should be taken? Absolutely. I have volunteered to be the designated driver many times over the course of, well, however many years. Don't worry about it, but it's been a couple decades, probably a decade and a couple decades and a half. If I go out and the people that I'm with, if I know that they're going to be drinking and they drink to get drunk, yeah, absolutely, either I will volunteer to be the driver, or if I know people that's going out, I will tell them, hey, if you need a driver, don't hesitate to call. So 1000%, I believe in, being sober when you drive. I believe not to be drunk, not to be impaired, whether it's drugs, alcohol, whatever. I 1000% believe in that, even in driving drowsy, because again, how many people have fallen asleep at the wheel? So it is not at all that I disagree that these conditions have caused accidents, have caused people to be unalived. I totally agree with that. My heart goes out to the family of all whom have been affected by these incidents. So I feel like that can be true. I can 1000% agree with the fact that something needs to be done to help to decrease the rates. You don't want these rates to keep on going up. You don't want for there to keep on being these accidents and keep. So I do get that, but I'm just wondering, is there something else that can be done that's not so much of it's not even an invasion of privacy. It's the fact that you are allowing technology to have more of a say so than people. And technology was built by people. So I don't even remember what movie this was I saw, but there was some movie, and the cars were able to drive themselves, right? So somehow somebody had hacked the system and had basically programmed all of the cars to drive. I don't remember if it was drive off a cliff or whatever it was, because the people had to try to fight to get out of the car. And these cars were all heading, I wish I could remember what this movie was. But my point is that this would not be that far fetched, because if we then had where we are building the cars to have, so the cars are built in with these features, they come equipped with these features. Don't that mean that somebody, like a person, has to make that happen? So what happened if the person that make it happen make a mistake? How many times have we had recalls on cars for whatever the reason? So now you shut down my vehicle. What if it was wrong? What if, because again, you don't know what I'm driving for. What happens if, let's say I'm on my way to the emergency room. Maybe I got somebody in the vehicle with me and I'm driving quickly, and maybe my eyes ain't on the wheel, or not in front of me, because I'm checking to make sure that the person is okay. You don't know what the circumstances might be. And so that's the issue that I have. I do not have an issue with creating some type of proactive measure from having those who will be impaired to not drive. I 1000% stand behind there being something. My issue or question is just it being this thing, because I believe that it could potentially cause more harm than good. I mean, obviously, we won't know until the technology actually comes out and people start getting the vehicles, and then we start seeing the statistics to see whether or not this technology is decreasing the amount of deaths that we are experiencing due to drunk driving, drunk and impaired driving. And so obviously, if the answer becomes yes, the rates are decreasing, the numbers are going down, then people are going to count it as a win. But like I say, it's like, okay, if we do this today, what might they be setting up in your house tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like for me, I'm just really one, and I don't call myself a conspiracy theorist at all. But I just look at trends. I just look at what happens with the world. I remember when they were talking about overturning Roe v. Wade, and the year was 2022, because it's 50 is the 50th anniversary of it. And I started telling people, I remember I was doing my podcast, doing my lives, and I was telling people, this is not a good idea. I'm telling y'all right now, if they overturn Roe v. Wade, this will not be, because now they are setting a precedent. Because you mean to tell me that if they overturn Roe v. Wade, you can't see what this is a setup for? I mean, especially if you black, you can't see what this is a setup for, because every woman who's marching to say, "Oh, well, Roe v. Wade is fine," it bothered my spirit, because whereas I never had an abortion, I also know people who did, and it wasn't just because they had irresponsible sex. It wasn't just because they were not ready to be a parent. It was, medical issues that threatened their life. And so I'm gonna go so far as to say this: even if that wasn't the case, why does anybody have the right to tell you what to do with your body? Right? And so the point is, I said then, we are going down a slippery slope, y'all. If this gets passed, if they end up reversing it, and everybody told me then, Tennille, ain't no way, you overreacting. There's no way that they're going to reverse Roe v. Wade. So the point is, do you already understand what precedent just got set? So here's my point. We go ahead and we do this, then what's next? Because all that has to happen once something is established as a legal precedent, then it becomes a slippery slope, because now I can take this case and add it to this act or this law, and now something else, you got a whole nother ball of wax that you're dealing with. And I think as a society, many times we don't look at things like that. We're looking at things right now, what's in front of us right now. We don't see how all of these things, and again, I don't mean to say like I'm just like this whiz kid or like I'm just so superior, because I'm not. But I just think differently sometimes. I'm not just looking at what's right in front of us. Like a lot of the things that we go through as a society could be prevented if we just thought differently. And like I say, a lot of times I feel like the media, they send us distracting news. They send us little things just to kind of keep our minds busy or occupied, while there's something bigger going on that they don't ever want to let us know about, right? I won't dare say COVID. We're not even going to go there. But what I will say is I would just really be conscious, because if they're doing something like allowing cars to shut you down, if they're coming up with the type of technology that is capable of shutting your car down, what else can said technology do? How else would they use said technology? And if you believe, oh, they're only going to use the technology for what they're saying they're going to use their technology for, mhm, that's how I would respond to you, because very rarely are things what they seem. Very rarely is it, hey, they said they're going to do this, so this is what they're going to do. Very rarely does it work that way. It starts out, this is a test. Do y'all remember that? This is a test. It's only a test until it's not. But anyway, for those of you who have been tuning in, I am your host and transformational empowerment architect, Tennille M. Jackson. This is Culture and Conversation, the place where we talk about the things that matter. And today we've been talking about how much control should technology have over our lives. And specifically, I brought up an article based upon a video I had recently watched. And we just had this conversation about whether or not cars should have the power to shut you down. But beyond cars, look at technology holistically and what it's doing I will say for our world, but really to it as well. Is all technology bad? No, it's not. But are there some that's being used for reasons it shouldn't be used for? Absolutely. But if you've been enjoying this podcast thus far, then I do ask that you would connect with me across social media platforms. If you have not already done so, you can find and follow me at my name is Tennille, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, or even YouTube. And when you get to YouTube, I ask that you take an extra step and hit that subscribe button. Also, I want to let you guys know that if you have not already done so, you can visit my website, which is my name is Tennille.com. And when you go there, if you like the logo, we actually have apparel that looks exactly like that. So you can get a t-shirt, you can get a hoodie, you can get I think a coffee mug. Like there are different things that we have that says culture and conversation. And in fact, probably next week or so, I'll be wearing my t-shirt. I was a little bit hot today, okay? But I'll be wearing my t-shirt as well, because we want for you guys to know what matters and not be afraid to talk about what matters. And so again, you can go to the website, my name is Tennille.com, to learn more about what we do with culture and conversation, because it's not just a podcast, it's not just a clothing line, but we also have culture and conversation events where we talk about what matters. There's engaging discussions. Many of them will be based off of my the documentaries that I've done. So we use that as a foundational piece of for conversation. And so it's so much more. If you go to the website, you can subscribe and you sign up for my newsletter. And we start every newsletter with this month's culture and conversation. And so again, this month's culture and conversation is all about men's health because June is Men's Health Awareness Month. And so I hope that you do not hesitate to connect with me, to support, show your support, and even engage if you would like to join one of our communities, whether it is APS for creators, I'm glad to be a woman for women, PACES for our faith walkers, or the Reset Room for those who are looking to do better with their overall quality of life. You will be able to actually, right now we're running a special for an all access pass. For a limited time you can get access to all 4 communities for only $39 a month. And so if you want more details about that, more information, again, go to the website. My name is Tennille.com. But I want to bring it back and just thank everybody who has tuned in to today's show. We are talking about things that matter. And even if you don't believe it will impact you, because again, I go back to when we first started hearing about the self-serve lines in like your grocery stores, right? So whether you're talking about like a Walmart or Target or I don't know, wherever you may shop. I remember when it used to just be a conversation. It was just buzz. But then years later, here we are now, where when you go in a grocery store, your favorite cashier may not be there anymore, because there's so many different self-serve lines. So technology is doing it. And then they say, oh, well, it works well here. Then you look up in the restaurant and now the cashiers are gone. They're telling you, hey, place your own orders. When you go in airports, place your own order. And so my point is, to what end? To what end will technology cease from taking over what humans were created to do? And so now here is yet another example of what's happening. So you potentially, your car, if you get a 2027 or later model, your car will have the power, it will be equipped to shut you down if it detects that you are drunk or under the influence or even drowsy. And so obviously I'm sure that what should happen is that they should give you some more information. And I do want to say this for people who may not be car people, meaning when you go to get a car, you're not asking all the questions. You just look and see that it's cute, or, ooh, I love this color, or I never had this type of car, or this is really a good deal. This might be something you want to educate yourself about so that you know the right questions to ask, starting with, does my car have this technology? Is it equipped with this technology? Maybe that's a reason why you would want to have it. Maybe it's the reason why you'd rather get a 2023. I don't know. But I'm saying that this is definitely information that you would want to have. And so a lot of times, if you don't ask, especially salesmen, they are subscribed to the don't ask, don't tell mentality. So if you don't ask if this car has something, and especially if it's something that they believe might have you shy away from buying it, do you think they finna come and tell you? No, they're gonna feel like, oh, well, they must already know about it. Like, you're supposed to do your due diligence as a consumer. And so I just want to share information to, just give you guys stuff that maybe you heard about, maybe you didn't, but now that you know, you can be aware and then you can move accordingly. So I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in to today's culture and conversation. And I hope that you appreciated this topic as I aim to give you something that really matters. That's what we like to do, talk about what matters. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, you guys stay inspired.